We are lost, but we are not forgotten. The Most High God has made us a promise that He will gather us, His scattered people. Hear, Israel. Malachi 3:6. For I am the Lord, I change not. The Lord our God is one. So we will stay awake and we will watch until Israel's restored.
Shalom Israel. Me and my son, Malachi. I'm studying scriptures tonight. We prayed already. Matthew 6 verse 9. Our Father which art in heaven.
Shalom Israel. That was our sister Yakiya, and her children are looking at homelessness. We have managed to help them get into a hotel, but I'm reaching out to all of Israel to try and help get a roof over their head, because we know a hotel that's going to cost daily, and we know the money is going to go quick. Hotels are expensive. Going through a struggle yourself is one thing, but going through a struggle with babies is another. And then on our part, we are to help our sister. We are to help our brother. We are to give. Charity will never hurt you. Charity is your increase. So the more you can give, the more blessed you will be, as long as you're doing it with the right intent and the right heart. And when I say blessed, it doesn't necessarily mean materialistic things. If you are smart, you're going to want your good, you're going to want your blessings on Judgment Day. You're going to want them to tip that scale so that you're saved from the hellfire. So don't be afraid to give. So let's add a bit of context, because I don't like tiptoeing around the issue. So word on the street is that Deshaun told Yakiya that she can come to his land. So Yakiya prepared and also told the people at the shelter she was at that she would be moving out because she was supposed to be going to his land. Then Deshaun reneged on his offer. So now she's in a bad way. Now, was I there personally to confirm or deny this? No. But do I believe that is the case? Yes. And with that, then this is an open rebuke for Deshaun and a reminder to all of us. None of us are above being rebuked.
You know, it's a blessing to have people checking in on you. You know, they genuinely care, and to be able to do the same.
Someone genuinely caring about you is someone who is going to look out for your salvation, who is going to be his brother's keeper, not someone who is going to tell you all the things you want to hear and soothe you to sleep because they don't want to cause any waves, because they want to be buddy, so they say. Your friends are the ones that's looking out for your soul, that's being a watchman for your soul. They are going to rebuke you. They are going to show you love. A lot of people have a misconception, and they think that, okay, if somebody is going along with what you say, somebody is supporting you in evil and ill, somebody gave you a little change, that, okay, they love you, they care about you. No, somebody who loves and cares about you is not going to go along with your bullcrap. Proverbs 27 verse 5 through 6. Open rebuke is better than secret love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. So many take it as though, okay, since I feel like I'm being wounded, since I feel like I'm being attacked, then I'm going to disregard this and look at you as an enemy, when in reality you are their friend. But then as they get soothed to sleep, as they get told what they want to hear by the enemies, because if someone is not being a watchman for you, they are Cain. They are not looking out for your soul, but the kisses of the enemy are deceitful. That's your enemy, not the one that's telling you, hey, look, thus says the Lord, you're astray, brother. That's your friend. And most people are going to never understand that. Only that chosen few.
The Most High didn't make none of us perfect. And as a people that are under these curses, we are far from that.
This is true. None of us are perfect. But from what I have experienced throughout my life, I know that people like to use this as an excuse of why they are not up to par. We are all sinners in need of a savior. See, since we're not all perfect, then this is why I'm doing this evil thing and this ill thing, even though the Most High God told me to desist, to stay away from this, or even though the Most High God told me to do this. Then you see, none of us are perfect, so that's why I'm not obedient to the Most High God of Israel. It's unacceptable. Don't use it as an excuse. You are to be obedient to the Most High God of Israel. The moment that we have sinned in our life, we become an imperfect being. We are not the Most High. He is the one that is perfect. The moment we have sinned, keyword sinned, past tense, we become an imperfect being. But that doesn't mean that you have to continue on sinning. That doesn't mean that you have to be a sinner just because no one is perfect. No, if the Most High God told you to stay away from these things, He's not going to command you something that is not in your ability to achieve. So then you should be working on yourself, striving to be sin free, not going and using the excuse of being imperfect to continue on sinning. Because when that wrath, when that fire comes for you, it's not going to be like, oh, well, I understand everybody's not perfect, so let me go over here and I'm just going to put myself out. No, it's going to set you ablaze.
David, like all of our prophets, was not a perfect man. And to place expectations on any of the prophets, the watchman, warner, it's not a good idea. No man is perfect. No woman is perfect either. We do the best we can with what we got. And it's our hearts that matter.
The key word is best. Do the best with what you got. So you should be striving and you should be doing your best to uphold the laws, commands, and statutes of the Most High God of Israel. You should be doing your best to keep to your word, to keep to your vow. So if you made a promise, you made a vow, and we'll go into the definitions shortly, because most people don't know what a promise is. Like, I didn't promise nothing. I just said it. Well, you promised it. So if you promise Yakiya, if you promise others that they could have a place on your land, and then you go back on your word, that is not doing your best. That is you making a conscious choice to renege, however you want to say it, on your word, on your promise. And that is unacceptable. Ecclesiastes 5:5. It is better not to make a vow than to make one and not fulfill it. So if you are untrustworthy, if you cannot fulfill your vows, you like to change your mind, people can't depend on you, and we know you only depend on the Most High, but people can't depend on your word, then don't make the vows. Don't let it come out your mouth, especially when people's livelihoods are on the line, especially when it's going to affect somebody else if you do not pull through. Don't take on the load if you can't carry it. And if you have been untrustworthy and broke your promise, then you should at least admit to the fault and also do something in place of it to make amends. Try to make sure, okay, Yakiya doesn't end up in a bad way. Try to send something to help, because you are the one in the wrong. You are the one who broke your promise. Not, well, fend for yourself. I changed my mind. I was untrustworthy, but tough titty. I'm good over here. You got to figure out and pull your own self up by your own bootstraps. Luke 16 verse 10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much.
Isaiah 26:3. You will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you. Acts 13:22. But God removed Saul and replaced him with David, a man about whom God said, have found David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He will do everything I want him to do. He will do everything I want him to do. He will do everything I want him to do. David, like all of our prophets, was not a perfect man, and to place expectations on any of the prophets, the watchman, warner, it's not a good idea. He will do everything I want him to do.
So the expectations are set. So if you want to compare yourself to David, then you should be striving to do all that the Most High God commanded you to do. You should be able to take rebuke. You should be trustworthy. Because I ask everyone the question, does the untrustworthy believer sound right? Does the lying believer sound right? Because we know all liars are going to enter the lake of fire. So how can you be an untrustworthy believer? How can you be a lying believer, a believer who doesn't keep his word? So if you want to compare yourself to David, then you need to be keeping all that the Most High God said for you to do. Not making excuses of how imperfect you are. So let's go ahead and look at some definitions. A vow is a solemn promise. A promise is a declaration or assurance that one will do a particular thing or that a particular thing will happen. So a declaration or assurance. You can come out here to my land. Just come on. And then you have a spot, you have a place. Solemn, not cheerful or smiling, serious. So a serious declaration or assurance that one will do a particular thing or that a particular thing will happen. There is room out here on the land for you. Come out here on the land and stay. You made a solemn vow, a solemn promise, and then you broke it. And then to top it off, you did nothing to rectify it.
Jeremiah 29 and 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future.
So then question, what is your definition of prosper? Materialistic things? Worldly things? Because it really seems so.
Just received this small shed. Brother Deshaun just finished paying this thing off, working on the new chicken coop's roof. That roof is gonna go on top of this. Yep, this is the new chicken coop. You know, all of these blessings that the Most High continues to bless me with.
Israel, you cannot weigh being blessed based on how much materialistic things you have, based on how much wealth you have. You have the rich man and Lazarus. Lazarus was blessed and he didn't have anything. The rich man went to hell. You got these so-called stars or whatever it is. They got plenty. The world look at them as fortunate and blessed, but they're on their way to hell. So materialistic things doesn't mean that you are blessed.
He said, all of these blessings shall come over thee and overtake thee. You know, if we keep his commandments, laws, statutes, and judgments, and walk in his ways.
And he also said, Deuteronomy 28 verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou shalt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. So again, You got the rich man and Lazarus. The rich man ended up in hell. It didn't matter what he had. He wasn't blessed. He wasn't keeping all the commands and laws and statutes of the Most High God of Israel. He didn't want to give. He didn't want to help those in need. He didn't want to help the needy Lazarus. So then he found himself in hell. The liar, the untruthful, is going to find themselves in hell. Sometimes these so-called blessings that we're looking at, materialistic things, they are the curse. They are the punishment. These things bring us hell in this life, and then later you go to the actual hell. The definition of prospering is to be successful and fortunate. How are you successful? How are you fortunate entering the lake of fire? Proverbs 28 verse 6. Better is the poor that walketh in his uprightness than he that is perverse in his ways, though he be rich.
Why am I showing this? Am I bragging? Am I boasting? Of course not. This is a part of my testimony. Just received this small shed. Brother Deshaun just finished paying this thing off, working on the new chicken coop's roof. That roof is gonna go on top of this. Yep, this is the new chicken coop. All of these blessings that the Most High continues to bless me with. This is a part of my testimony.
So what's your testimony? Your testimony is that because you have these materialistic things, then you are a blessed, righteous believer in the Most High God of Israel. Your testimony is also, because we weigh everything, is that you have been untruthful. You have been false. You make vows and you break them. And when you break them and it causes harm on someone else, when you are at fault, then you are not one to rectify it. Instead, you show off all the things that you have, while you know that someone else is facing lack and difficulty due to you breaking your vow. That is pride. That is arrogance. And you can say one thing, but a believer is going to look at the whole picture. That is your testimony. Proverbs 16 verses 18 through 19. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better is it to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. So if Deshaun does not rectify the situation, if Deshaun does not humble himself to the words of the Most High God of Israel, then mark my words, he is going to fall straight on his face, because the Most High God is the truth, and everything he says is going to come to pass. So the common response for somebody, because again, they take admonishment, they take rebuke as an attack, is to beat their chest and go on the defensive and say all this and that. Forget all that. Rectify the situation. Take accountability for your actions. Nobody want to hear justification and this and that and, how big you are and what you know and all this nonsense. If you know so much, then humble yourself to the Most High God of Israel and rectify your actions. Make amends. Accept accountability. Then that's saying you know something. Else, you're nothing but an old fool.
And another part of my testimony is 13 years ago today, I stopped being homeless. I stopped being a victim.
And this is one of the reasons that leads me to believe that the situation actually went down. It's actually the truth. It's not just word on the street. Because what is the odds of you got a sister that's going homeless with her 2 children facing homelessness, and then now you're talking about homelessness and you're saying I stopped being a victim. Stop being the victim is if you find yourself blaming other people for events or situations in your life, you may be struggling with what is known as a victim mentality. So I stopped being the victim. I stopped blaming people for things that's happening in my life. True, we all get what we earn. We all get what we deserve. But if you went back on your word and you caused harm on somebody, will then accept accountability. They are in that way partly because you gave your word and you reneged on it.
So how am I doing after realizing that 13 years ago today was the last day I ate out of a trash can, and I remember what it was. It was an Angus burger with no cheese. But after about 4 days of not eating and being on one, you know, you had to scrape a couple ants off of it, but that burger was pretty good. It's a lot to reflect off of, you know, to go through what you go through.
If this event actually happened, if you were actually homeless, if you were reflecting on it and being in such a way, then you would know that you don't want anyone else to be in that situation. Not that we have the power to prevent it, but you would have a heart, so it would seem, to say, hey, look, I was in that situation. I know how bad it is. I don't want this woman and her 2 children to be in the situation. I'm going to man up and take accountability, and I'm going to do something so they don't end up in a bad way. But most people only care when it involves themselves.
I want there no doubt that I've done my best in this life, because hell is real. Yeah, it's gonna happen soon, and we know it. So we continue to work on ourselves, and we don't fool ourselves.
So don't fool yourself, and actually work on yourself and take accountability. So the rebuke to you is accept accountability, mend your conduct, atone for it, make things right, rectify the situation, and then sin no more. Walk in the truth. If you cannot keep your vows and promises, don't make them. Isaiah 26 verse 2-3. Open ye the gates, that the righteous nation which keepeth the truth may enter in. The righteous nation that keepeth the truth. Not the lying believer, not the deceptive nation. They enter the lake of fire. That will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. And remember, whatever it is that you put out, whatever you measure out, is going to come back to you. And that is why it's important to rectify the situation. Else, guess what you're facing in the future? Homelessness, or something equal thereto. You have to feel the pain and consequence of the actions you have done. Matthew 7:2. For what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. Shalom.